with our next map in the list. Now we're back in towards some of the standard maps here. In fact, we haven't only seen we haven't seen any of the maps from the standard category yet today. This one by the Music 246, who made 16-bit, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which was a popular map a couple ladder map pools ago. So let's kick this off. Obviously, the standard maps are some of the most regular here, as we have to the bottom left. MC, the red Protoss player. He is up against the blue Zerg on the top right-hand side, SortOf, as we kick this off. Moonstruck Fool coming in with a 25-month sub. Boom, you get all of your subs together now that you've now that they do collective subs rather than continuous. That's cool, right? So yeah, getting this going. What's up, Z-Tap as well, who just comes in with a fresh new Twitch Prime sub. Thank you so much indeed. I'll just very quickly sell out a little bit. There's a little bit of a fight here. Just very quickly sell out and just say, guys, if you do enjoy the stream, obviously, you've got a Twitch Prime sitting around, you consider subscribing. Helps me to keep on producing StarCraft content for you all. But, more importantly, let's talk about the game and especially the map. So this one, again, comes in from the standard category, which means that we're looking at a pretty regular setup. I mean, main, natural, pretty safe, not super, not anything crazy. Third base is not super close to the natural, it's not super easily defended, but it's not difficult to take either. You got the choice for the forward base as well, which I don't think is going to be too popular on this map. Although forward bases becomes interesting. Do you continue down over here, or do you take that forward base and kind of keep yourself very clumped up? Well, you probably do as a Terran or a Protoss, but as a Zerg, I think you continue expanding down this right-hand side. Although, that gets interesting because then, imagine a Terran player expands here, right? I know this is PvZ, but just as a, bit of a thought experiment. Say we got an expansion right here, and, then you push across. You're already pushing into the third very quickly. A fourth here would then hurt. So, maybe something where you also have to react to the expansion of your opponent more so than anything else. And as we do have the probe coming up to the high ground there. Just going to be hanging around, scouting around a little bit. Link speed starting up on that spawning pool. So getting that going, and a couple of those Zerglings from sort of running in towards the upper left-hand side. So just having a bit of a scout himself at the moment here, with the probe of MC coming around. Music actually had, what was it on 16-bit? It was player names in binary on the map. This map has some numbers on the ramps. I'm interested. What do they mean? 16, 12, 48. What does it mean? 20 actually. 42. Well, they're all multiples. I figured out they're all multiples of 2, guys. They're all even numbers. Go me. Go me. Looks like Parasite with the mains moved a corner. No, it's nothing like Parasite. I mean, it's just nowhere near as kind of defensive or as large as Parasite. Parasite was a lot more narrow as a map as well. This map has a lot of bases up in the corners too to kind of utilize. And I feel like the pathways are a little bit less defined on this map than on Parasite, where once you start attacking down the left side, you're attacking down the left. Here you can switch directions a lot more easily, some rocks to break down to kind of switch things up later in the game, as well as you see as a Stalker very far forwards. That gets caught by the Zerglings, goes down very quickly here. As you see the Stalker, the Sentry, still just hanging around, and those Lingers do get pushed away. There's a 9? No way is there a 9. Are they not all even numbers? Oh my god, you're going to make me look at all the ramps in the game now, aren't you? 42. Oh, there's creep spread on this one. 20. Is it hidden behind the rocks? 28. Are the rocks hiding numbers? Oh my god. This is terrifying. Alright, enough about numbers though, because MC getting a prison out. He's got 2 Immortals as his opening here. I think what's most interesting to me is it feels like super aggressive, I'm going to all in. And yet, he goes for Twilight Council. He doesn't have many gateways. So it's just MC's way of just applying some pressure early on. He's going to, tech up behind this a little bit. He has some more gateways now. There's still potential for a big follow-up attack. Sentry's down early so you can build energy, for example. As he sends a hallucination forwards too. Zergling does see the War Prism movement out, so sort of with some information here. Hallucination gets killed. Does see the Roach Rowan, I believe, but I mean, hey, Roaches against Mortals. MC will be kind of happy about that, but cannot afford to lose this Prism, of course, so needs to be very careful about that. As you see the Lings running through the center of the map here. So, dropping back down and just going to have the Immortal trying to jump in and get rid of this these couple of Queens. Spinecrawler here starting to deal some good damage. Immortals lifting back up as the Prism moving back in towards the main base over the next few moments. So, Prism back into the main. And again, just continuing to keep this pressure going on. You see that Queen taking quite a lot of damage, taking a few shots here already. So many Queens, though, is actually very good against this because Immortals don't kill the Queens super fast. The Transfusions obviously keep it alive as well. T-Probes going down on the other side. Lots of force fields available. I love the DT Shrine. Not only can you bring DTs into play, but the Archons would be very good in this sort of situation as well with so many Lings on the map. Kind of like as we're going to see a run in here. That's going to have to be a few of these force fields used up to defend, maybe. Drops one. Wow, I only need to use one. That was actually better than I thought it was. Didn't think that was going to go quite so well there, if I'm going to be honest. Warp Prism out through the top side, warping in some DTs now. So he's dropped the Immortals off back at home. I mean, honestly, DTs at the moment. Lair just started. There's no Spore Crawler in the main base. Oh my god. And MC might even know that. Let's see where he goes with the DTs, but that is some real potential damage there. I mean, if you kill that Lair, that main base is never coming back up. And the Lair is where there's no Spore Crawler. And I guess you can move a Spore Crawler to the main, and he does actually do that right now, but it's very exposed, this Spore Crawler. And even then, it's not actually in range of the Lair initially. And there's also this attack coming in over here, so... Well, the biggest issue for this from MC, I feel, is, well, he's obviously distracted elsewhere. He doesn't have any way to save these units if they get jumped on, and he's going to lose everything. Corrosive Vials are huge. DTs run in. Again, there's no detection, though. So these DTs are going to get a load of damage done. The Spore Crawler needs to come over, but the Lair's already going to go down before the Overseer as well. Oh, my God. Corrosive Vials don't quite get the job done. Maybe if Ling's surrounded, then he could Corrosive Vial. But MC lost the entire army before this, so these DTs are absolutely carrying him back into this game at the moment. Turns back around, goes to the Extractor. The Lair kill is huge because it delays other tech choices as well. He sort of didn't move the Spore because he probably just assumed it was going to die. But tell you what, the other thing about not having the Lair up means that there's not going to be anything to detect DTs on the other side of the map either. So you can warp in DTs to play defensively with. Right now, he's just trying to defend it with other units. Doesn't have a warp in just yet, apparently. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have put it to use. DC is still going crazy in the main. A couple of cannons over here as the Warp Prism will want to try and micro some of these units. Can probably give up the third base because he killed that Lair beforehand. I think he just, there we go, warps in some DTs. He recalled these DTs out of the main base back home as well. And so SortOf is going to get cleaned up as pylons go down. Ravagers and Roaches being chased away. DTs continuing to drop forwards. And just continue to swipe down more kills on these Roaches. What a cleanup. Fantastic cleanup, actually. Very well done in the end. And that's actually quite impressive. What a hold at the end of the day here by MC. The DTs absolutely saviors. And that is very important. Wow. Alright, so that was very, very cool. MC holding on now and obviously putting himself into quite a lead. SortOf is rebuilding up the bases. His Lair now in play. MC can no longer rely on DTs to get back into the game as heavily as he just did once before. By the way, cool background on this map. Love this. This kind of like sea of kind of this electronic sea. I like it. It's cool. Not seen that effect before. From recent memory, at least. But, yeah, you're going to be seeing Stalkers, Archon pressing forwards. Obviously applying some pressure in towards this forward base as Ling's come back in towards the natural expansion. Mortals spread themselves out a little bit. Couple of Banes running forwards. The Bane's going to be a big part of defending here, but I just don't feel they're getting enough done. There's just so many tanky units. I mean, there's not even that many Zealots involved. I'm surprised by the Warp Prism being so far back, but I guess it's working, warping in even more Stalkers. That's going to be GG. And MC picks up game 1 thanks to the DT. So we've still got a good amount of StarCraft to come up for you guys. As we have down to the bottom right-hand side, our blue Protoss player who is up, leading this series 1-0. We have got MC. Fantastic to have him play in my... I think that's the first ever tournament of mine that MC has played in. That is super awesome. Really excited to have MC playing. Really, really happy he can be here. Really happy he can take part. And yeah, let's see how he can do as he goes up 1-0 against SortOf in his second series here today. Go to the top left-hand side, the red Zerg player, SortOf. And cool to see him playing as well. SortOf currently out in Korea, so he is playing Korean server against these guys. And excited to have SortOf taking part as well. Very, very cool. But yeah, let me know what's up in the chat. Let me know how we're all feeling today. Let me know who you're cheering on. Let me know what you're thinking of the maps, of course. As we kick this off, we have got the Hatch Castle Cool coming in. So let's talk a little bit about the map then. Heatwave, very deserty map. And kind of feels very deserty too with the ambient sounds. I like it. So, main base, natural expansion, not crazy. There's no real Reaper. Is that a Reaper jump-in path? I guess it is, like a 1-hex Reaper jump-in. Only just, probably. So a little Reaper jump-in point, but nothing too crazy. I'd say one of the bigger issues may be something like a siege up here again. I've seen a lot of maps with, like, I feel like this is, like, my biggest issue when I look at this for, like, a Terran-based matchup more than anything else. But, like, you have, like, say, for example, like, you siege up here, and boom, you're, like, just going to cover the natural and the main base as well. That could be very interesting. Wonder how that goes, actually. I wonder if we do see something like that in the Terran matchups. I'd love to see that play out. But yeah, other than that, we have base up on the high ground. You kind of probably don't want to expand here. It's a bit more difficult to defend, I think. This base is very easy to defend, and this base isn't exactly even that much further forwards towards your opponent's bases, unless you maybe want to expand here and push this base. I guess it's possible. I mean, SortOf will just expand over to the right side, and I think that's very much so expected so far. I mean, you can take the 4th base as well in that spot, or maybe over here instead. I guess if you expand this way, you get into this little back corner, which is very good for you, because then you have a much easier way to set up into future bases, perhaps. So maybe that's something which could come into play when you look at this. Yeah, I mean, just take the base and then you can't siege up here, right? But I mean, if we're talking about a TVT, you don't exactly have a 3rd base down super early before initial siege tank pushes come in, right? So, you know, it's interesting, and it definitely will kind of dictate a lot of whether you take this base or not at certain points of certain matchups, I think. It'll be interesting, though. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. There's a couple of Stalkers in position, going to be able to turn those Zerglings away. So Zerglings turned away there as we see this Overlord coming down the right-hand side. Wind speed, excuse me, just about halfway done. Sorry, I just need to cough and take a drink for a second, guys. Excuse me, just one moment. Alright, apologies. So yeah, interesting map so far. Intrigued to see the ways it'll play out through the course of the tournament. Generally, throughout the tournament, we have 80 maps played during the group stages, and we generally have, I believe, like, I think with 8 best of 5s, 2 best of 7s, and a best of 9, it's something like, we could have, like, something like 63 maps played in the playoff stage if everything went to every single game. We don't do that. It is just normal best of 5s in the playoffs and so on. But it means that we generally see about 120 maps played throughout the tournament, so we see most maps about 8 or 9 times throughout the week. So seeing both maps, all maps about 8 or 9 times. Sometimes some maps are a bit more popular, sometimes some maps are just a little less popular. And you know, we can only get certain maps played so much. And it's just one of those things we have to deal with a little bit. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the expansions kind of take root and how people kind of start to respond when they've played it more than once and so on as well. Do you see the Hallucinated Phoenix is flying around a little bit here? Queen dealing some damage to it. Dark Shrine starts up from MC. Very similar setup to the last game. In fact, if not exactly the same, right? Double Immortal. Gonna get the Dark Shrine up. The only thing I didn't like from MC last time is that he really did just go very haphazardly across the map with the rest of his army. He had no... I guess his main idea was he would force field and then recall away if he got into trouble. But obviously he missed his force fields and the army was surrounded, so there was just no recovery at all available. So that obviously went pretty badly for him pretty quickly. As we do see this Wall Prism heading up to the top left-hand side. As we see the Dark Shrine again, just about halfway down. Some group spread pressing forwards at the moment as well. So just getting this group spread through. And initial setup as the Immortals coming into the main base, try and deal some damage. Troops are here to greet them, but obviously not looking overly pretty just yet. Once those Immortals actually start getting quite a lot of damage done so far. I mean, that's the thing with Immortals. They can always do so well against these sets of units because of the fact that we have the armor tag on them. And the War Prison and Micro them means that they're just so very safe. You can really commit in and lose one. That's definitely not how it should go. That's surprising because MC really strikes me as one of the players that just has one of the best micro and, you know, some of the best micro in the world. Never forget, was it MLG New Orleans that Huck won? That, no, it was MLG, was it Orlando? It was one of those names that I can't distinguish. Was that Orlando, right? I can't even remember. That tournament Huck won against in the finals against MC, and I just remember watching MC's store because I was very new to StarCraft back then, and I was like, what is this? Like, how is this guy microing so much? 6, 7 years down the line. I mean, that was 2011, I think. So like 8 years down the line almost. It's kind of crazy because the micro has only gotten better. As you see now, there's a couple of Archons not able to get that Overlord. He's changed this into a very standard Archon drop with the Dark Temple this time. He saw with the Immortals, Spore Crawlers, Lair, etc. was in play. As we are going to be having the, well, a few units just coming over the left side, picking off a Zergling. Yeah, there are some crew teamers here as well. You can see again showing us a bit better control with these Archons than he showed us with the Immortals when he lost one. I mean, these things happen, these mistakes do take place. Now, Heatwave is going to be seeing the 4th base being taken to the top right-hand side. So sort of expanding the top right. I guess this base is very safe as well. Very difficult to push all the way up here, especially with just the general size of this map. Sort of going to commit into Mutalists to begin with. We're just going to be seeing the Hydralist Den dropping down, so sort of not going to stick around on Hydras for all too long. On Mutalists for all too long. Wants to switch it into Hydras. I mean, the Spire makes a lot of sense in a game where MC doesn't open with Stargate. And that is interesting in general, right? Because usually the Stargate is a big go-to for these guys. But obviously not the case here. And that definitely changes things up a little bit as we see this initial army of MC coming across to the side, picking up a couple of Zerglings. We see these Mutalists are going to be running down the right side in towards the main base in the next few moments. A couple more Ravagers getting set up to go as well. And again, this army of MC pushing up to the top. Some creep tumors going to be in some trouble here. First few probes going down. And the Stalker's in position, and there's just not enough meters to ever fight against any sort of Stalker warp in. Well, can MC break sort of here then? I mean, a lot of Ravagers and Roaches, so the army count is good. It's just the quality of army. Obviously, we don't usually talk about Roaches being the best unit in terms of effectiveness, in terms of how much army supply they're worth. So it does kind of lead to the supplies being a little bit misleading. The Ravagers make that a bit more different, though, because it then just expands on the Roach and makes them a little bit better, and the Ravagers are very difficult to attack into with the Corrosive Biles and the way that they work and interact with other units, so that's something to be cautious of as well, as we are going to be seeing that Queen doesn't go down. Then counterattack here is seen by the few Stalkers, although maybe just saw the one Zergling. MC is still very determined to push across the map and to try and attack on in here. So units still pushing up. MC wants to hit the top right 4th base. Opening a couple more Stalkers. Not going to be the best against the Lings, although has the cannon up. I mean, I guess just because he has the Blink, wants to keep using it. It's very rare you see players continuing to commit in towards like Blink Stalkers rather than just going charge lots. This is MC finding that 4th base. Once you get up to this position here, it's actually hard to hold the 4th in that position for sort of, right? Because he's in a spot where he can't really set up into a concave if he's pushed into the 3rd. So I think MC doing a good job of using this position. Good catches there with the force fields as well. Corrosive Bile didn't really break it out too quickly. Stalker's still left over here. It's a lot of Zerglings running in. And, well, I don't think the cannon's going to hang on too long this time, although maybe the choked up position of Stalkers will do the job. The final Mutalist now going down as well, as MC still just parked outside the 3rd base of SortOf. Pressing forwards here, a couple of Corrosive Biles, not quite connecting too heavily just yet. Still trying to press forwards, a couple more Biles coming through. Zerglings running up this ramp, Zealot fighting away against it. Stalkers warped in again, still so dominant or defiant in terms of building Stalkers. Maybe just because of the Spire as well, right? He knows Mutas are a possibility. He just doesn't want, you know, SortOf to suddenly rebuild into a bunch of Mutas, and he doesn't have an answer. But we saw a lot of Stalkers last game too. I mean, he's now getting charged and starting to warp into a few Zealots. I mean, Lurkers are very good against Stalkers. I think if there's anything Lurkers or Stalkers suck at, it's trying to fight Lurkers, because they can't really get in range without taking tons of damage, and, you know, then they just get destroyed by those Lurker attacks, and boom, you can see that gets pushed back very easily. It's because the Lurkers have that bonus damage to armor, 33 rather than 22 with the +1 missiles. So that's 33 damage a shot. And that's like, you know, at this point we're talking about, you know, you're like 5 shot in a Stalker, which if you have a bunch of Lurkers burrowed up and they're doing splash damage, that's actually really, really dangerous. Well, MC's going to try and change direction here, but probably realizing he needs to add on a few more mortars to this composition. He's getting the Templar Archives too, probably realizing that Storm is going to be a worthwhile addition into this as well. As a little bit of Roachling pulls around the left-hand side. Still trying to push up this ramp, but the Lurkers are well split up. I like this though. Zealot's on the right. Sort of still has some Lurkers over here. A few misrally drones, unfortunately. Well, a couple of cannons are not going to be able to do much at all. Has the War Prism in position so he can warp in a few Zealots. Has shield batteries. Oh, DTs actually. Good decision actually. I forgot the fact he had a Dark Shrine that he used so much earlier. We haven't seen that being used again until now. That's a good decision. Good time to use it as well. It protects that 4th base, which MC commits into. So no players going towards the right-hand side for the 4th just yet. And obviously, I mean, sort of does now because he decides, well, you know what? This base didn't work out for me. But MC says, yeah, I'll take that bottom left base. Just keeping the creep spread so pushed back. He dives in on these Lurkers. The Lurkers unburrow. They pop the Immortal Barriers on their way up here, and sort of the rest of his army obviously just a bit out of position. So now he's going to lose the 4th base again. These units can just target this down while backing away. The force fields bought MC the time needed to be able to snipe that down without taking losses. Good play by MC. Great positioning, and eventually he's able to catch SortOf off guard. And that happens with those Lurkers. I mean, you have Lurkers here, so you're kind of a little lax about it. Like, oh yeah, Lurkers can hold a position just fine. Yeah, don't get me wrong, they definitely can hold a position just fine, but you need something more than just Lurkers when those Immortals dive in. 3 Immortals start one-shotting those Lurkers, and all of a sudden, those Lurkers drop so fast, you just can't leave them there, and that's what happened there. You unburrow, you pull back, and everything does just start to go very wrong. A few changes in the middle starting to get picked off a little bit as well. So getting rid of a few of those changelings here as we see the Spire dropping down in the back of the Natural. Hydra's Den dropping down in the back of the Natural too, so just going to be seeing a interesting choice. So I think he cancelled the Hydra Den and he built the Nidus, which is what he meant to build initially. He lost the Spire earlier, I think sniped by a little bit of play in the main base that we didn't see because of other action going on. So losing that, wants to rebuild into it. Obviously with the Hive upgrade, Spire becomes very powerful. 13 workers killed at the moment as units from MC running over to the right-hand side. More units of MC pressing forwards up through the middle. And that War Prism still just hanging around in the top left corner. Stalkers and DTs pushing straight forwards. We are just going to be seeing the Exo-Lings going down. Feels like SortOf is just bleeding out a little bit at the moment. Just units going down here and there. Although MC doesn't have enough of an army on this right side to fight. They're pushing to these Lurkers again. It's costly for both players. You're going to see a Disruptor Shot as well. Throws in, hits a Ravage and a couple Hydras. I feel like MC's losing a lot, but I mean, he's also still winning the fight over to the right side too, so I guess it's kind of working out for him. There's just no War Prism doing anything anywhere. We see the Vipers here are trying to maybe get an option or an opportunity to do something as well. These Immortals are going down. MC losing a lot of tech units, but I mean, at least he can keep the Stalkers alive, rallying more units across the map. He does now have Storm in play. We haven't actually seen Storm come into play just yet from MC. It's something which has been upgraded into, but he hasn't actually used. So we're going to see a little bit more of that as these Stalkers from MC going to push their way through this top right-hand base. Overseer gets taken down as well. So a good shutdown as we're going to be seeing the creep continuing to press forwards just a little bit. Ravager gets a shot off. Good. A couple of high tempo storms already layering over the Hydras and the Ravagers. A little bit of damage to the floor. A couple more storms coming down. And we are going to be seeing one more storm just hitting those Hydras. Doing a good job of this at the moment. Still pressing forwards here. Lurkers burrow up once again, but the hatch rate has fallen, and this is one of the issues SortOf has had all game long. MC is just consistently killing bases. Level 9 drone's dead, and as Stargates come down, MC decides, okay, time for me to tech up a little bit further. Blinding Cloud is nice from the Viper. It's a good idea. It's just too late. You know, the number of units there can just walk through the Blind Cloud and fight anyways. And SortOf trailing down below 100 supply, looking like he's in some trouble right here. MC looking pretty good in the PvZ. Maybe not clean and like super super well executed in a way, but the way like more kind of brute force in it, right? He's like, I'm gonna attack and I will break you down. I'm excited to see how Solar is going to deal with this because MC will play against Solar in the next series coming up. So that's going to be kind of interesting to see the differences maybe. A couple of changelings drop down as he's really desperate to get that Nidus network into play. We haven't seen it being used at all just yet. So drops it into the main base. MC could warp in against it. I'm not sure if he's realized it just yet. As he runs into those lurkers once again, gets rid of those so quickly, so easily. Well, I guess the Hydra's coming in behind. One of the lurkers surviving. Some lurkers over here too as the Archon gets right on top of them. There's no observer or anything over here though, so has to back away. We'll still be able to cancel the hatchery, and that's the issue for SortOf. Still cannot get this up. The Nidus pops but doesn't do anything because he's busy dealing with attacks on the other side. Now the Nidus will just be killed before anything can pop out. No point running the couple of units that were in there out into the rest of this. That's a bit of a weird hold up there that we just had. Apologies for that. Additional pylon coming in with the 6-month resub. Thank you so much. Appreciate the 6 months. Thank you. Well, more lurkers on the way out. Probably wants to try and Nidus some lurkers around somewhere. He's rallying them straight into the Nidus. I mean, it would be annoying if MC wasn't in such good control of the game, right? I like the idea. I just don't know if it's necessarily going to be able to do enough, as we see an attack from MC up the right-hand side. So MC pushing up here and just going to try and grab a drone, maybe the Spore Crawler or so. Just going to get a couple of kills off. Lurkers moving forwards again. And, I mean, now MC doesn't need to kill a base because SortOf's not even gone back into one. So that's a little bit of a frustration that we have to deal with here too. There's a couple of Vipers moving through into the middle of the map. So have a good little chunk of army from MC on the left. If he hits the feedbacks on those Vipers, well, suddenly they're completely nullified in terms of what they can be used for. And that becomes very painful. There's going to be seen extra creep trimmers dropping down, pushing forwards. Hatchery coming in on the left side as well. And we are going to be seeing the rest of these units all gathering up together. The High Templar all the way around the left now. You see Storm drops down. Viper's taking some damage. Lurker shots would be good to kill that High Templar. So High Templar gets picked off here. He is going to run in to kill this hatchery. On the far left as Immortal's running forwards. And it's just a case of MC finding a fight he feels he can take. And oh, the Blinding Cloud is well placed to kind of hurt these Immortals. I mentioned the extra Stargates just before. They have produced a bunch of carriers which are going to come forwards here now. So dropping those interceptors in, but well, still need the rest of the army to fight against those Hydras. Disruptor shot will grab just a couple of Hydras here. It forces them to split up a little bit, which gives the carriers about a couple of moments though. Still pressing in, a couple of storms dropping down, Hydras getting hit. Everything just getting hit right now. Big storms continue to come through. Is he missing detection though? Doesn't have a way to deal with the lurkers? No way. One more storm drops down. The lurkers, 2 of them die off. SortOf types out GG anyways. Just missing an observer there to really clean that up a little bit more easily. That is GG's and MC.